All right. Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good day or a good evening, a good night. So, I figured today we would go over one of the CSWA parts that you guys have been working on. I've noticed that some of y'all have had problems with it. So, let's take a look and I'll show you how I would go about drawing this. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the part itself. This is the part that we're going to be working on. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put in our global variables. We know that we have global variables on this part because we can see that the dimension here is C. We have a dimension here that is D. And then down here we have A, B, C, D, and E. That means that those are all global variables that we need to put in. So I'm going to go ahead and open up SolidWorks, and I'm going to go to equations, and I'm going to start typing in my equations. All right, so the first one, if I remember correctly, was 40. So I'm just going to type in 40 and then hit tab. Come over here, and I will rinse and repeat with the rest of my variables here. So we have 120. And then we have 20. And then we have D, which is B divided by 4. All right. And that's D. It's just equal to B divided by 4. Make sure. Yep. And then E, C divided by 2. All right. E, and that is C divided by 2. All right, so we have all of our global variables in here. Let's go ahead and get to sketching. So let's take a look at our part right here. I'm going to be switching back and forth, kind of just getting an idea how I want to draw this. The instructions in here, they're going to tell you that the part's symmetrical across the horizontal line, passing through the center bore. And then down here, it tells you that the part origin is arbitrary, doesn't matter. It gives our material, and then all holes are through unless otherwise shown. So let's go ahead and get started. So looking at this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw half of this shape, and I'm going to use the bore for this part as my origin. So what I will do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to draw 2 center lines. And I'm going to draw one up this way, and then I'm going to draw one up that way. I could have done a midpoint line, but I don't think it's really necessary at this point. So we have D, and we have 40 is the width for that. So, all right, so now I'm just going to dimension here, and I believe that was D, wasn't it? So I'm going to make that D. Let's verify before we get in there. Yes, it is. It is D, so I'm going to hit my green check mark. That does that. And then our other dimension on here was 40. So I am just going to make that 20. All right, so let's go back in here. Let's take a look at this. What do we got? So we have to go up D, B, 160, so about 30. Okay. All right, so let's get started. Come up here, and then I'm just going to kind of come up this way, about like so. I want to be careful not to lock in any relations on accident. All right, so where is getting my endpoint there, and then I'm just going to come down like so, getting everything locked in. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to lock in the center point right here to here. I'm going to make that vertical so it stays in place. And then I'm going to lock this in as well. It should already be locked in, but I just want to make sure. All right, so let's go back here and kind of look at what we've got here. So, yep. And then I'm going to lock in. Actually, let's do it like this. It's already locked in, but I want to go ahead and dimension the endpoint here. And I'm going to make sure that you use the global variable there. All right, so we're going to use that to D. So that is locked into place. And then what I want to do, if I come back over here and look at this, I have, this is going to be C. So I'm going to dimension that, and I'm going to make that equal to C. Like so, that kind of brings everything out. And then the last thing that I need to do is I'm going to dimension from here to here, and we'll make that equal to B. Right there. And what are we missing? Do I need a dimension? Yep, C right here. We're going to make that 20. And then I have to dimension from here. Oops. Oh, let's get back in our smart dimension here. Oops. Do that. All right, so get in there. Right here. And I'm going to make that equal to D. So now I have a fully defined sketch all the way around. And now that that's in there, it kind of took a little bit longer than what I wanted it to. Now all I have to do is mirror. And then I can just pick these items right here. And then I'm going to mirror about that center line. And now I have my part completely in here. So let's take a look at what we got. So we've got the main shape in here, which is all of that right there. And then it is going to be dimensioned, extruded anyway, 40 plus C in there. So when we go, or extruded, excuse me. So let's go ahead and extrude this part. Do an extrude base boss. I want it to go down like so. So here, highlight that, hit equal, and I'm going to type in 40. Let's do this first. C plus 40. So, and I'm going to change the direction because I want to go that way. And I'm going to hit the green check mark, and now I have the basic shape of what I need. If I look at this right here, I have everything on here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to do my cutouts over here for these parts. All right. So let's get started. All right, so what I will do is I'm going to click over here and I'm going to just open that up like so. And I will draw out, and draw out. Come back over here and look at this. We got 40 plus C. If we look at that, all we need to do is dimension from here to here, and we're going to make that equal to C. And then if we actually go in here and dimension everything else, so we're looking at 45 and 40. So our dimensions, 45, it's going to be it's a driven based off of everything else we have. And then this was 40. So everything is coming out exactly the way we needed. We're just using the global variables to lock everything in place. So we didn't have to dimension these, but they are here. And then what I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do an extrude cut. I'm going to do a through all. I'm going to hit my green check mark. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror that cut. And I'm going to pick my top plane. I've already got my cut extrude, and that's cut that out. All right, so the next thing that we have to do is we have to do this right here. Just draw this in here, and everything will be good. So if we do that, we will be good to go. I'm going to go ahead and draw it just like so. Click on that surface. And I'm going to go in here to my line command. I'm just going to come up here. I don't want to lock that into the center point. And then I'll draw that out like so. And then come all the way up here. Then I'm going to dimension from here. And that is going to be equal to A. You'll see that that locks in everything on my sketch. And we'll look at it, and that looks exactly what we're looking for, doesn't it? So let's go ahead and do an extruded cut. I'm going to leave it as through all, so it will cut everything out of there. And then now I have my basic shape. Come up here. Let's go ahead and put our bore in. What size is our bore? Our bore is 24 millimeters in diameter, so let's go ahead and put that in there. Draw that in place and dimension it to 24. We'll go ahead and do an extruded cut. I'm going to go through all, so that cuts all that out. All right, so the next thing that we need to do here is we got to put these studs on here. So if I look at my part, make sure that I get everything in here the way we want it. I need to be, what size is that pin? It's E, okay. So basically then what we're going to do is I'm just going to pick one side to make sure that I get this dimensioned on the right side. So we'll wind up drawing our pin on this side, or tell you what, let's go ahead and draw this flange on here real quick. All right, so what do we have here? It's 45 lines, 18 for the center holes here. Excuse me. Okay. Let's do, I'm going to open a sketch right here. I'm going to do a midpoint line for construction, and I'm going to select it right about here. I'm just going to make sure that that is a vertical line right there. And what I'll do here is I'm going to lock that into here. That's horizontal. It's not going to move. And we need 35 and 18. All right, so let's go ahead and dimension this. This is going to be 35. And then the line from here is going to be 18. Wait a minute. What did we do? Did we do something wrong in here? I think we did. What did we do wrong? You'll see that we have something not right here. Let's go back in there and look. Oh, that was 40. Oh, that's why. That's why. Look at there. See, I'm dimensioning from the wrong spot. Let's go ahead and undo that. Get that out of there. We're not going to dimension it from there. We're going to dimension it from here. Whew. Wow, what did I do? All right, so now we got two holes. If we zoom in here, we can see that we have two 5mm diameter holes, and we have an offset of 2 millimeters. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and put our 5mm holes right here, right there. I'm going to make both of these equal to each other. So I only have to dimension one. I'm going to make that 5, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this and I'm going to offset it by 2. I'll click on that one and that one. So those are now offset. And let's go back over here and look at that. So we just need to draw some lines in and dimension everything. All right, so right here, I'm just going to draw lines here and here. Now I draw a little bit different than everybody, so don't think that you have to do exactly like that. All right, so let's go ahead and dimension this. That's going to be 45. And then I'm going to dimension that. It's also going to be 45. And then what I'll do is we're going to make this tangent. And then we'll make that tangent. And then we're going to make that tangent. That's already there, but we're going to lock in another relation right there, tangent. And then we're going to come in here and trim everything out because we don't need these extra lines in here. Get rid of that, that, and that. I have a fully defined sketch. The only thing that I need to do right now is I need one more line to close this in like so. And then how far are we going to extrude this? 10 millimeters. All right, so let's go ahead and extrude that 10 millimeters. I'm going to do an extruded boss base. We're going to make sure that we merge the results. Go ahead, change that and change the direction. And we are now locked into place there. All right, I'm loving it. Something here does not seem, no, all right, just the way I'm looking at it, I guess. All right, so let's go ahead and add one of our pins here because that was based off of our earlier sketch. If we look at right here, we have it kind of oriented differently, but we have from the bottom and from the back side. So let's go ahead and add a pin in here, and I believe that pin was 10 millimeters, if I remember correctly. We'll go back and look at that. And it was, oh, no, it was E. Let's go back in here and change that because we want that to be a global variable in case they change it later on. Just in case, we're going to say equal, and then we're going to say C. Oh, no, 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 no. What am I doing? E. All right, let's do that again. Equal. E. There we go. All right, so I want to look at this one more time. I got from the bottom, and then I got from the backside off, opposite there. So now I need to dimension this, and what was... All right. All right, so let's go ahead and dimension this. This is going to be equal to E. And then we had from the back side as well, which is going to be equal to E. Now that's locked in place right there in the center. And then how far does it get extruded? It gets extruded a distance of C. So let's go ahead and do an extrusion. And we're going to make it equal to, and we're going to pick C. And we'll say OK. Right there. And let's go ahead and do a mirror on that. We are going to mirror across that plane. So now we have both of our pins in there. We have our holes. Is our part complete? I think we are. I think we have everything in here. So let's go ahead and do a cast alloy for our material. Edit material. And let's see. Cast alloy. All right. Let's take a look there. So cast alloy steel. And then this is the weight that we're supposed to have. So let's see where we are at with our weight. All right, so I have 904.13 and we have 904.86. Pretty close. I would say that that is within 1% of what we need. Right there. Oh, we're not done. See, we're going to be in weight here in no time. So we have to do some chamfers. A radius of 2. That's what I did not put in there. So let's go ahead and, or not chamfers, but fillets. So let's go into our features. Let's do a fillet. And we got to do a 2 millimeter fillet. And I'm just going to rotate that around. I'm going to do that one right there. And then that one right there. And are we looking the same now? That looks the same. I think we're good to go. I think we are good to go. All right, so let's try that again. Let's see where we're at here. 904.86. Oops. And 904.86. So we are good to go. I can close that out right there. Now what I would do typically, because we have other changes and this actually kind of falls into some other stuff, but so I would save this question as, we're just going to save it as, I don't want to access that folder. I'm going to save this as part 1. It's already part 1, but all right. And then I'm going to save it again as part 2 because we're moving on to question 2. So now we're in question 2. Let's go ahead and go down to question 2. These are the changes that we need to make. And these are the changes that we have to make here. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to move this off screen real quick just so I can put in or make changes to our global equations. I'm going to manage those. So we'll go in here. I'm going to type in 30. And then we have 150. And then we have 15. We have B divided by 4 and C divided by 2, so those are going to stay the same. I'm going to hit OK. So that's made the changes to our part. And then I'm going to bring this back over so we can take a look at this. It's in here. These are the updated equations. And these are what we have to change right here. So it doesn't look like... All right, so we got to change the radius here to 5. So let's go ahead and do that while we're in here. So I'm going to change the fillet here to 5, like so. And then what else do we have? Everything else would have updated. So the only thing that we need to do right now is add these. We have, and add the radiuses in there for all that. So let's go ahead and do... have an offset of 3, so we have 3, 15, 3, 15, 3, 14. So let's go in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this surface and I'm going to open a sketch. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to offset 3 millimeters, and I'm going to pick this line. It's going in the direction I want it, so we're good. Then I'm going to offset again. I'm going to make this 15 right here. I'm going to click on that line. And I'm just going to rinse and repeat on here until I get all of these done, like so. And then another offset. That's going to be 15 right there. Offset 13. That's going to be a 3. And then the next offset is going to be 14. Like so. And then we got two more offsets. 3, which is going to be this one. And we want to right there. I'm going to hit that, and then I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to reverse right there. All right, so now we have everything in here. Let's just go ahead and draw everything out this way. Do they have... Yeah, so... Yeah, they have a vertical relation there, so we're just going to deal with that in a second. All right, so we'll do our extend, and then click on that, click on that, click on that, click on that. All right, and then we can go back into our trim, and we're going to trim everything out that we don't need right here. Here. Now we are fully defined. Everything is fully defined in there. We're good to go. And let's go ahead and do an extrude cut. I'm going to through all, so that will go through there. And then what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to go ahead and add my radius. Those are a radius of 3. So we'll fillet that, put that to 3. And then I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to hit all of these corners. All right, come on now. There you go. All right, so they're all 3. Got all those locked in. Everything is radius. So now all we got to do is mirror these 2 features. We're going to pick our top plane, and we're also going to do here, have everything in there. Let's go ahead and look at our sketch. Have we missed anything in here? I don't think that we have. Let's go ahead and save that. I'm going to go ahead and write that up there. We'll save that. We still have our cast alloy selected. So come over here to evaluate. We do our mass properties. We can look at what we have there. All right. That's part number 2. Now we got part number 3 that we have to do. So I'm going to go ahead and save this as, hold on a second. I want to save this one more time, make sure it's saved. And then I'm going to save as part 3. And then we'll go in here and we'll see what part 3 changes bring us. All right, so let's go down here. This is 3, and these are our new changes. So I'm going to move this over. You guys can see this right here. I'm going to move this off to the side real quick. And we're just going to look at our global equations and make sure that nothing's changed. So we got 30, 150, 15, B divided by 4, and C divided by 2. So we're not changing anything on the global variables. So we'll bring that back over, and then we'll look here to see what changes that we have to make. So we're adding another wing. We are changing the radiuses for the fillets to a 2 from a 3. Let's look at something here. So did those change? I don't think they did. The offset, that was 5. I'll look at that real quick. That was 5. So nothing changed from part 1 to part 2 here. But then for part 3, these holes are going to be, where did I see it at? They're going to be 8 millimeters for this hole right here. So we got to go in there and change that. So let's go ahead and change that now. That is going to change our shape when we go to do that. So this is this boss. Let's go ahead and go in here. We're going to change that, and we're going to make this now 8. Okay, and then we can exit out. Okay, so we have 8. That stayed the same. Offset still 2, so we don't have to worry about that. We got to change the radius for our fillets here. And then we also have to change our offsets in here. So they're 5. This is going to wind up changing this one, but not a big deal. All right, so cut extrude. Let's go ahead and deal with that right now. We're going to change that to a 5. 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 And then, oops, and that to a 5. And let's see what we have here. So we have something 5, 5, and 5. So we had so we have something not quite right in there. Let's see what that is, because you can see right here where we're going off in here. So let's look at our picture here and see what we have wrong. So that's 5. That is correct. Now let's go ahead and change our radiuses here. See what that does for us. We're going to make that a 2. That changes that. We still have something not right. So did something not change on here? What did not change? Ah, that's what it is. Go back in here into the sketch. That's what I didn't change. This offset is a 10. So now we can exit out of there. That looks right. Look at our sketch here. That looks exactly the way we wanted it to go. All right, so that's good to go. So let's go ahead and do some other changes here. We got to do a mirror. So let's see if we can mirror. And mirror about the right plane. And then the features that we want to mirror are going to be this and that. And all right, so let's get rid of this right now. There we go. And then for our fillets, just go in here and change. Oh, you're going to require me to put another fillet in there. So let's go ahead. We'll do this last fillet. I think that was a 5. Yep, that was 5. So now we'll come in here. And here. Here. So that fillet's in there. And then we have holes that we have to put in here. So let's go ahead and do that sketch. If we look at this, we have 2 5mm holes. They're 5 off and 8.75. All right, so let's go ahead. Got our sketch open. Let's go ahead and put a hole right here. We'll do another one right here. And we'll make both of these equal. And then we're going to add a vertical relation there so they'll stay correct. And then we have 8.75. Let's go ahead and dimension that. We're going to be from here to here, 8.75. And then this one is going to be 8.75 from there. And we are 5 off. All right. So I'll go here, here, make that 5. That'll change both of those down there. we have to dimension this to 5. I believe that's what that was. 5 millimeters, yep. All right, got a fully defined sketch. Let's go ahead and do an extruded cut. We're going to make it through all. All right, 2 holes in there. Everything looks good. Bring that back down in there. We'll go ahead and save that. And then if we evaluate our mass properties, 636.31. Right there. And that is how we do that. All right. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, let me know. I will see you on the next one.